Hi, my name is Percy King, and I'm a wood portrait artist, creator of the Shaolin wood technique, and this is my story about my great day in Harlem. On the morning of the trip, it was a lot of nerves, a lot of excitement, a lot of anxiousness. I think one of the biggest things for me is that I was really concerned about how my work was going to make it to New York City. I've never traveled with my work before. I was very concerned. I almost came with a sign that said artwork on board, bumper stickers. Whole 8-hour drive, that's all I thought about was what are these pieces looking like back there, so every time we stopped I had to have somebody open up the back and let me see and just make sure these pieces were all right.
I'm geeked. I'm looking forward to
it. As I was going to New York, I really didn't know what to expect. It was just a great group of people. It was a lot of energy. When I saw the skyline of the Big Apple, it was just definitely a great feeling of anticipation and excitement. The other artists and performers and clothing designers that were involved were a great bunch of people. It was a really fun trip the entire time. The opportunity to just be able to be immersed in that atmosphere and the bright lights in the big city. I've been there before, but never with something that I was ready to contribute. To be immersed in that environment was completely awesome.
uncrushable.
While in New York, went to see Terence Gumby, who's an abstract expressionist painter who actually paints with his hands. So we went up to his studio to see what he does. And after we went upstairs into Terence's studio, this brother's amazing at what he does. He paints essentially with his hands, no brush, just oil, and he expresses himself through that art form. It was great to meet him and share my work with him, and get some positive feedback from him. Even his name, he talked about why he named himself Terence Gumby.
Got to grad school, I started thinking about inheritance. And thinking about my last name and knowing that I couldn't trace that back to Africa because there was no documents kept for the slaves who were arriving at the ports, and really just wanting to, so I started looking in contemporary pop culture and thinking about, I came across a claymation cartoon character of the 1960s, Gumby and his kooky friends, and just thinking that, it's like, people would mention him to me when I was in grade school, but he wasn't of my generation. And one of the things I found out from watching the episodes is Gumby was kind of like the colored kid on the block. Yeah. He was the alien. They described him as that. He'd be walking through suburban neighborhoods, and him and his friends would be getting bullied and stuff like that. And him and his friends would kind of like find a way, to come together and get through these situations. One of the things I also really liked about Gumby, I found very intriguing, is that his superpower was kind of like just going through books and interacting with history. So he was kind of like a bookworm, literally. But he from going through history, he can interact with figures of the past, or even go into like alternate universes and go to places where, he's probably never seen or even thunk of before, and meet, kind of extraterrestrials, just these other aliens that are like him, but just of different worlds.
It was great to meet him and share my work with him, and get some positive feedback from him.
prescription.
Yeah, so we did go to the Jazz Museum in Harlem with Jay Swiffer and Trip Fontaine. I mean, had an amazing experience. Just seeing the history and the culture that went on in Harlem and an art form, which was created in the United States and essentially brought overseas during wartime, during World War I with the Harlem Hellfighters, who introduced jazz music to Paris, France, and it was the hotbed of culture for Europe at the time. And just to be able to see what these guys were doing in the 1920s and 30s, and to see how they were deciding what Black culture was going to be. The visit to Langston Hughes' home was very inspiring, just to be able to walk the same hallway as he did, and just think about the number of people who were there. So, while I've read about Langston Hughes in the past, I obviously did a lot more research as I'm creating this Langston Hughes piece. And for me, as a carpenter, hobbyist, and artist, I'm looking around, I'm looking at the trim work, I'm looking at the fireplace, and I'm getting inspiration, and I'm seeing the mirrors that he would have stood in front of, and seeing the crown moldings that he would have seen and probably even picked out maybe in some cases, I don't know. But it was just an awesome experience.
Got a dream, then I pray. I just want to see us win. I don't know another way.
To be in there with all that history, just knowing that so many greats have walked through that home. For instance, we talked about Nina Simone even visiting his home maybe on more than one occasion, and just some of the other greats that have gone through there. So to be a part of that, and to just to be able to experience that, and just be a part of that contribution, it's just been an awesome opportunity. It's a mind-blowing experience. The Dougie Fresh piece was a piece that was commissioned by the Warhol on Wall Street group.
We're gonna hang it. We just need to kind of know we gotta go inside.
We gotta know which house to hang it in. It's either that house or this house over here. I'm trying to figure out which house makes the most sense. Shem?
Okay.
Shem?
Beautiful. Thank you.
I need a favor. I need you to open up the door. I know you're exhausted like me, but John is there? Okay. It's an interesting little thing you may want to see too.
Who made that?
Yo, got a shake in here, bro.
Crazy,
Yo,
bro.
babe, look at this.
I mean, it's real crazy.
This Slim's dad. This one right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Jonah open up and we're gonna see now.
Okay.
Okay, they said that I can knock.
All right.
Because when I come back, I don't know where nobody's at.
You gotta try to figure out where everybody's
Yeah, like I stay here, and then we got another house over there.
Okay.
But so it's like this is a very unusual situation. So let me see.
To be able to present that to him, in his home, I mean, it was an awesome opportunity.
Back here is the recording studio here.
This is crazy.
This is the whole full studio. And then it's a live room back here.
Before the trip, I was doing a lot of packing, and I knew I would have to pack some tools to get this piece up. But I was kind of banking on the fact that he would want it hung up on drywall. and with wood studs, which would make it go up in like 5 minutes, and not be able to mount it and get it done, and we'd be out there in 10-15 minutes.
I will put it on the brick, but I'm thinking that that's a little more complicated. And I don't want to do that. I think that doing it on the brick is difficult, and that instead of doing it on the wall. I think that would look good on the brick.
Yeah, I think it look good on the brick. Look great on the brick.
I think it would too. Is it hard to do it on the brick?
I brought a drill bit for a brick just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Something told me in the back of my mind, well, if this is going into a brownstone, this might be a brick wall, and I'm like hoping that it wasn't going to be. So I did fortunately bring the right tools, the right bit, but I didn't bring the right drill to use with the bit. With the tools that I had, it took it from being a 5-minute project to almost a 30-minute project.
Baby, come ride with me. Better yet, come fly with me. Won't you go past the sky with me? I want you to get high with me. Get high with me. Come ride with me. Better yet, come fly with me.
Just to be able to experience that is something that I'll never forget. And then, we go from that to having this surreal experience where I'm moving a couch with Dougie Fresh. like we talked about moving the couch to put the piece up, and he's like, okay, let's move it. And he just walked. I'm expecting Trip or somebody else to come over and grab the couch, the other side of the couch, and he just, this man's a legend. He just goes down and picks up the couch, like, all right, let's move it over here. And I'm like, wow, how many people could say they did that? Overall, the experience was an awesome opportunity. I appreciate the support of the Warhol Group and all associated staff with how professional the trip was, the excitement that was generated through being able to participate, and all the many things that have come out of it. Again, just to be able to immerse myself in that environment and just kind of soak up what was going on, and to see the things that these heroes we talk about, on paper and read about in books, to see what they saw and be where they've been. It was a great experience. I can't really describe, how it's impacted my creative life. I'm Percy King, and this is my great day in Harlem.
Sea is penguins or pelicans, eagles and elephants. Deliver monkey bars like the zoo was my residence. Smooth criminals, your raps ain't got no evidence, so I'ma give them hell.